A series of escalations. Will they be effective? In the final days of 2024, several tragic incidents occurred involving Russia and Ukraine. First was the sinking of the Russian cargo ship, Ursa Major, in the Mediterranean Sea, followed by the crash of an Azerbaijani aircraft. Regarding the plane crash, President Putin reportedly apologized to President Aliyev for Russia's involvement. However, both leaders seemed to avoid making direct statements about what happened. Their announcements referred to certain external events, and there appears to be an agreement not to assign blame for the accident. This could be due to political reasons or simply caution, while the investigation is ongoing. As for the Russian cargo ship that sank on December 25 in the Mediterranean Sea, many suspect this was a terrorist act. The ship sank while passing through international waters between Spain and Algeria, leaving 2 crew members missing. The ship's owner, Oberon Logistica, a company under the Russian Ministry of Defense, reported that 3 explosions on the starboard side caused the sinking. Many suspect the ship was sabotaged by Ukrainian or British intelligence. This comes as Ukraine intensifies the use of naval drones to target Russia's shadow oil fleet worldwide, not just in the Black Sea. These UAVs have an operational range of nearly 1,000 kilometers, capable of reaching from Odessa to the Crimean Bridge. Russian ships in the Mediterranean and elsewhere could easily become their targets. However, details about the perpetrators remain inconclusive, and it cannot be definitively stated that Ukrainian drones were responsible in this case. The shooting down of the Aktau flight and the ship sinking signal that Russia is entering a very dangerous phase. We've discussed this repeatedly in recent times, and it's clearer than ever that before Trump takes office, the Zelensky administration will be forced to utilize every resource to provoke Russia to the maximum, no matter how extreme. This is not mere speculation, but is linked to numerous escalations since Trump's victory on November 7. It can be asserted that the deep state forces, with Ukraine as a proxy, have activated a broad plan involving multiple countries to increase pressure on Russia from all angles. One of the most publicized events is the West targeting Russia's shadow oil fleet. The latest provocation is Finland's seizure of the Russian ship Eagle S on December 27, suspecting it of damaging an undersea cable between Finland and Estonia the previous day. On December 28, Russia's Foreign Intelligence Service, SVR, issued a warning that the US and UK are allegedly planning to use the ISIS terrorist group to attack Russian military bases in Syria. The goal is, reportedly, further to destabilize Syria following the collapse of its government. The SVR website emphasized that the outgoing US administration and British leadership, after toppling President Assad of Syria, aim to maintain chaos in the Middle East to secure their long-term dominance in the region. However, this plan is hindered by the presence of Russian military forces along Syria's Mediterranean coast, which remains a crucial stabilizing factor for the region. Russia currently operates an air base near the coastal city of Latakia and a naval base near Tartus. The status of these forces has been uncertain since the collapse of Syria's pro-Russian government on December 80. According to the SVR report, representatives of Britain's MI6 intelligence agency and the US CIA recently tasked ISIS field commanders based in Syria with carrying out a series of attacks on Russian military bases. For this dirty work, ISIS terrorists have been provided with attack UAVs. To conceal their involvement in ISIS's planned attacks, the US and UK military commands have instructed their air forces to continue bombing ISIS positions while the militants are pre-warned. Syria is now governed by Ahmed al-Sharaa, a former al-Qaeda commander and current leader of the HTS group. The SVR claims that Washington and London seek to expel Russian forces from Syria while continuing to occupy oil-rich areas in the country's northeast. Since 2016, the U.S. has occupied territories, in Syria east of the Euphrates River, working alongside the Kurdish-led Syrian Democratic Forces, SDF. The Biden administration has maintained a U.S. military presence in Syria, citing the need to combat ISIS, even though the Obama administration was previously accused of enabling ISIS's rise during its 2014 takeover of large parts of eastern Syria and western Iraq, including the city of Mosul. 10 years ago, the infamous terrorist group ISIS captured Mosul, Iraq's second-largest city. In just 2 days of fighting, a few hundred militants took over the city, forcing thousands of Iraqi soldiers and police officers to flee in chaos. At the time, Western mainstream media attributed Mosul's fall to the sectarian policies of then Iraqi Prime Minister Nouri al-Maliki, suggesting that local Sunni residents welcomed the ISIS invasion. U.S. officials also claimed surprise at the group's rapid rise, prompting then-President Barack Obama to vow to degrade and ultimately destroy ISIS. However, a closer examination of the events surrounding Mosul's fall reveals a different story. The Obama administration and regional allies reportedly used ISIS as a proxy force to orchestrate the city's collapse, leveraging ISIS to attack Sunni Muslims for specific foreign policy objectives. Later, the Obama administration worked with the Kurdish-led Syrian Democratic Forces, SDF, to occupy territories previously controlled by ISIS in Syria, preventing these areas from reverting to Syrian government control. Notably, in January 2014, Reuters reported that the U.S. Congress had secretly approved the provision of new arms to this group. The U.S.-backed Kurdish forces now detain a significant number of ISIS militants in prisons located in Hasaka, northeastern Syria. This summer, the U.S.-backed Kurdish group released thousands of ISIS members under the guise of amnesty, raising concerns that the Biden administration might once again use these militants to achieve regional foreign policy goals. Returning to the Russian Foreign Intelligence Report, it suggests that the outgoing Biden administration and the UK government hope to utilize ISIS for provocations aimed at forcing Russia to evacuate its military bases from Syria. Meanwhile, provocations continue, particularly targeting Russia's vulnerabilities abroad. On December 26, Aurimas Navas, commander of Lithuania's special forces, declared that NATO is plotting to capture Kaliningrad. In his latest interview, Navas stated, "Kaliningrad is crucial if we are serious about containing Russia. If this territory is taken from Russian control, it would be a significant step toward ending the war. 10 years ago, I said that NATO countries should simply move into Kaliningrad and organize a referendum. I hope the people of Kaliningrad would choose Europe. This is feasible because there are very few Russian soldiers left there. Realistically, there is little Russia can do directly to stop the escalation driven by the aggressive Western Bloc. Russian public opinion suggests that the only way to counter the deep state forces is to achieve a swift and decisive victory in the Ukraine war. Observers believe Russia could end the war much faster by adopting harsher measures, such as using Oreshnik missiles to destroy numerous bridges across the Dnieper River. However, this approach could result in long-term consequences. Another strategy would involve striking decision-making centers in Kyiv, potentially leading to the psychological collapse of the Ukrainian state and sparking a new power struggle. Currently, the Kremlin seems to believe it can minimize retaliatory responses long enough to allow Russian forces to break the backbone of Ukraine's military in Donbass. However, mounting international pressure on Russian maritime assets in the Black Sea, Baltic Sea, and the Mediterranean continues to grow significantly and dangerously.